All right, welcome in everyone to a brand new deep dive. And you know what we're diving into today?
What are we diving into?
This whole concept of like happiness.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not just like rainbows and sunshine and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's about like real, genuine happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And this piece we found, Stop Being Too Nice to Be Happy. It's like,
Interesting title.
I know, right? Like at first I was kind of like, too nice? What's wrong with being nice?
Sure.
But it's more than just like surface level niceness.
I see.
So I'm really curious to kind of dig into this with you.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Have you ever like felt that pressure
Oh, yeah.
to just be agreeable?
Oh, totally.
Even when deep down you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this.
Absolutely. Like you feel like you have to say yes.
Yes.
Even when you want to say no.
Yeah, and it's like you're sacrificing your own happiness to make someone else happy.
Right. And that's what this article is getting at, is that you don't have to do that.
You really don't.
And in fact, like, that's not the way to happiness.
It's not, yeah.
And I think a lot of us are conditioned to put others first. It's like ingrained in us, to be helpful and polite and all that.
To please people.
Yeah, but it can really take a toll over time.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is that constant, putting other people's needs before your own can actually lead to like emotional labor and even codependency.
Oh, wow. So it go deeper than just like, oh, I'm a little annoyed that I had to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it can really impact your well-being.
Yeah. So it's not just about being a little put out. It's like sacrificing your own well-being for someone else. And this piece just straight up says that's not the path to happiness.
No, it's not. And it's not about becoming like totally selfish either.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that dedicating your entire life to others is a waste of your life.
That's a good point. Yeah, like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
But I do wonder, are there ever times when putting others first is the right thing to do?
Absolutely. I mean, think about genuine acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Like caring for your loved ones or contributing to your community.
Right.
Like those are times when selflessness is really valuable.
Yeah.
But the key is finding that balance.
Okay.
Where you're giving, but not constantly depleting yourself.
So finding that equilibrium.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but how do we actually do that?
Well, the article talks about self-belief.
Okay.
As a key ingredient.
So what does that actually like mean?
So I like to think of self-belief as an internal compass.
Okay.
It's rooted in knowing your own values, your strengths, even your weaknesses. And when you have that strong sense of self, you're less swayed by what other people think.
You're not seeking their validation.
Exactly.
Right.
And then you can make decisions that are right for you.
Right for you.
Yeah, even if they're not popular.
Even if they're not the popular opinion, interesting.
Yes.
But could there be like a downside to too much self-focus? Could it become like arrogance or narcissism?
That's a valid concern. There's definitely a fine line between healthy self-belief and like an overinflated ego.
Right.
The key is to be aware of how your actions affect others and to remain open to feedback.
So self-awareness is still crucial.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So the article also talks about the pressure to be liked.
Oh, yeah.
How does that play into all of this?
I think when your main goal is to be liked, you become so dependent on external validation. You end up saying yes to things you don't want to do.
Right.
You silence your own opinions.
Yeah.
And generally, you just become a less authentic version of yourself.
Which makes it even harder to set those boundaries we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And learning to say no is crucial.
For sure.
For protecting your time, your energy.
Yeah.
And ultimately your happiness.
And your happiness, yeah.
It's about aligning your actions with your values.
Okay, so how do we get better at saying no?
Yeah.
Because it's easier said than done. What are some tips?
Well, first of all, I would say know your limits.
Okay.
And your priorities. You don't owe anyone like a lengthy explanation.
Right.
A polite but firm,
I know.
I can't commit to that right now.
Yeah.
Is perfectly acceptable.
Perfect.
And remember, saying no to one thing often means saying yes to something that matters more to you.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, prioritize. This next point is powerful.
Okay.
Stop following the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
This reminds me of all those like historical figures
that
went against the grain and achieved incredible things like Galileo, Marie Curie, even Oprah. Like they all dared to be different.
They forged their own path.
And it highlights a key point.
What's that?
If you can't make your own decisions, you're easily influenced by others.
It's true. You become a follower
instead
of a leader.
So saying no, charting your own course, That takes courage.
A lot of courage.
Especially when it comes to, like, confrontation.
Ooh, yeah.
Which, let's be honest, is scary for a lot of people.
It is. It is.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, a lot of us avoid confrontation like the plague.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if we don't express ourselves honestly and respectfully, we risk resentment building up.
Right.
So I think of confrontation as like clear, healthy communication that can actually lead to stronger relationships.
Okay, so it's not always a bad thing.
Not at all.
But what about when someone is truly toxic?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Is it always worth trying to work things out?
It depends, I think, on the situation and the person, you know? If someone is consistently disrespectful or harmful, it might be best to create some distance.
To step away.
Yeah. But in many cases, especially with those we care about, addressing the issue directly can be incredibly valuable.
It's like deciding when to end a relationship and when to walk away.
Right. It's tough.
Tough choices. All right, this last point from the piece is about being the version of yourself that you like.
Yes.
Well, where do we even begin with that?
It starts with self-knowledge.
Okay.
You know, spend time understanding your values, your passions, even your flaws, you know? Like, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
What are your non-negotiables?
Okay.
Embrace your authenticity.
Yeah.
And you'll naturally attract people who appreciate you for who you are.
So it all comes back to that self-belief and setting those boundaries.
Exactly.
And in the end, that leads to a happier and more fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
You have the power to choose who you spend time with, what you say yes to.
Yes.
And ultimately how you live your life.
Couldn't have said better myself.
All right, here's a final thought for you before we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
If you could design your ideal day, what would it look like? And what small step can you take, like right now, to bring that vision to life? Until next time, happy diving.